So today we will be presenting our film, which is Star Maps. It was made in 1997 by me, Valerie Vasquez.
Jacqueline Varela.
And Arturo Ortega.
So I was student one and I will be presenting the film synopsis. So Carlos is an 18-year-old who is returning from Mexico to California. Upon his return, he is determined to fulfill his dreams of becoming a movie star. Throughout the movie, Carlos is in a constant battle between pursuing his dreams and not disappointing his father. Carlos starts working in the family business in the hopes of making his way to stardom with his father's connections. As a male prostitute, Carlos can switch characters easily with each of his clients as he is channeling his inner movie star. As he is working, he is encountered by Jennifer, who is a movie star and is currently producing a TV show. She enjoys their time together and offers him a spot on her TV show. Within the movie, their father torments his children, especially Carlos and Maria. With Jennifer's part in her show, Carlos is in a constant battle working with his father and Jennifer. Pepe makes rude remarks about Maria and Juan while she is on a date at the house, making a very typical dinner extremely uncomfortable. Tired of his father, Carlos decides to leave his job and focus on his part with Jennifer. Carlos's decision outraged his father, leaving Pepe with no choice but to torment his part in Jennifer's show. Carlos's resentment toward his father was out in the open as he fought with his dad at the show's recording. Carlos goes a little too far and has to think about his next move and decides to let his father live. So, the director's background. The director is Miguel Arteaga, who was born in 1965 in Puerto Rico. Some of his other work includes Alex and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, The Good Girl, and Youth in Revolution. Michael attended Wesleyan University in 1989, and he was one of the 6 graduates of Connecticut College to rise to success as a writer and director. When creating the movie, Michael Arteaga got inspiration from telenovelas. He stated in an interview that telenovelas was a significant influence in making the movie. Miguel also said that the movie he wanted to make it for Latinos. According to an interview at Sundance, he stated, "You know Robert Rodriguez, God bless him, he's done so much for our community. Gregory Navet did so much for us. Movies like Water for Chocolate have done so much for our community. This will be the year of Latino films, especially the whole idea of magical realism in cinema. Audiences are starting to be more open to it in the United States, and now with this movie."
I am student number 2, and I will be talking about the reviews on the film. The reviews on the film are very limited, scholarly reviews as well. I think it's because the film was rushed to be submitted to the Sundance Film Festival and caused very limited reviews to be made. Star Maps may have been distasteful to many, but it brought understanding to the dynamic of dysfunctional families all over the United States. In an article written by Camila Fojas, she states, in Star Maps, Carlos dreams of becoming the next major Latino star, but his dream is rendered delusional by the racist ideology of the corporate studio system. Moreover, his only shot at landing the role requires that he traffic in fetishizing racial fantasy about Mexican men. Throughout the movie, we see the different ways that the Latin culture is viewed by Americans. There is a clear division in how people of color were treated in the corporate film industry. Carlos is also subject to intersectionality because of his age, gender, and sexuality. All these things made him more vulnerable for people like Jennifer to take advantage of him.
In our analysis of the film, we found that there are bits of connections to class spread throughout. However, there are 2 key scenes that we were able to analyze with more depth and substance. In the first scene, we see aspects of familialism that can be pointed out between Pepe talking to Letty. In this scene, Pepe is angry with Carlos and Jennifer, the actress, because Jennifer is giving him an opportunity for an acting position in exchange for sex. But Pepe also expresses to Letty that she should go on double dates with Carlos, a way to keep him away from Jennifer, a form of control. He also says that Carlos needs to get his head checked in. This describes the aspect of subjugation in familialism. Katie Acosta explains in the article, "How could you do this to me?" that subjugation is to make a submissive or bring under complete control for the family by respecting the family rules. So Pepe is subjugating Carlos through prostitution for monetary gain, which is basically the family business. Wanting Carlos' loyalty as a son and prostitute, he's also wanting to have complete control over him. Carlos, however, has other plans since he wants to be an actor. Continuing on in the same scene, there's aspects of interdependence and familialism viewed here where Pepe complains to Letty how his family doesn't give him any credit for paying for rent or paying for everything. Doesn't get any thank yous from them. All the meanwhile that Pepe is speaking, the film changes in contrast to different shots of different clients having sex with Carlos, working essentially. In each shot, Carlos is visibly uncomfortable and has blank face expressions. The interdependence is seen in that Carlos and family is dependent, economically dependent on Pepe and the prostitution business he has. Pepe is dependent on Carlos for prostituting. No one else is working. Mom lives with a mental health condition. Mari takes care of her. Juancito pretty much just watches TV and wrestles. Carlos does do prostitution for money, but is manipulated in conditions of hoping for an acting condition from Pepe. The third last thing in this scene is uh, an aspect of patriarchy. As Pepe is complaining about the perceived ungratefulness from his family, he's expressing that he is the provider. Monica Martinez's article on toxic masculinity states that the provider is a feature of patriarchal masculinity. So Pepe, expressing the being the provider, is expressing his dominance and having control over the family's well-being.
Yeah, I think you gave a great description about how the dynamic was really in the family. I thought that it was really hypocritical of Pepe to be almost asking for his family to be grateful for what he's doing, even though we later learn on that his father would kind of show him the ropes about how to run a family and how being the man is doing all that stuff without getting praised for it. I think it was very hypocritical for Pepe to be like, "Oh, like you should be grateful I'm doing this," like as if he didn't have to be, even though he knows that as being a man of the family, he does have to provide for his family.
I agree with you both. Pepe, wanted so much praise from his family, but it was more of a power trip that he had. Like, he manipulated everyone that he came in contact with to gain that power, and he treated everyone poorly, even his own family.
Yeah, that definitely is a recurring thing throughout the film. The maltreatment he does within his family. I mean, he's prostituting his son, right? Um, and that follows into toxic masculinity within our second scene. Um, and this is displayed in the scene where Fred is meeting Maria's family for dinner for the first time. Specifically, hegemonic masculinity is seen in the scene where Pepe comes in unannounced. Mari's concerned to whether Carlos is okay because he hasn't showed up home as he promised. Pepe tries to reassure her, but is also exaggerating. Um, They go back and forth, and Pepe ends up switching the conversation, talking directly to Fred, and telling him that Maria is a good cook and probably still a virgin. So he says more comments, and back and forth within Pepe and Fred. Fred trying to defend Maria just becomes disgusted, even hearing things like that he would probably be able to take care of the little bitch, quote unquote. Um, and even Pepe expressing that Fred is trying to come out as macho to impress her in order to have sex with her. Um, all down to expressing that Fred is only here for a free piece of ass, later on offering to have sex with Maria for $50. The connection here is that in hegemonic masculinity, as Monica Martinez states in her article, is that women are seen as existing only for sexual objects for men. Maria is the sexual object in this case. Pepe objectifies women as objectifying her and putting a value on her, and a very low one at that. Um, Essentially, Pepe sees women as sexual objects through language. The next aspect that we see is fragile masculinity. It is during the same scene as Fred is yelling to Pepe, what's wrong with him, and if he doesn't care about Maria. This is where Pepe offers Fred $50 for Maria. Fred shows Pepe. Pepe responds saying it's a bargain, and then slaps Fred across the face. Fred yells that they're sick and walks away. The connection here is that in fragile masculinity, this is seen when a man feels emasculated and then resorts to violence to prove masculinity within other men. Fred confronting Pepe in front of Juancito triggers this. So Pepe essentially feels emasculated, challenged. Pepe responds by violently slapping him, and all while in front of Juancito. The last aspect that is seen in this scene is patriarchal violence. Pepe violently is pounding on the bedroom door as Maria and her mom are seeking safety. He yells that she don't take care of the family to better start thinking of ways to make money because he isn't going to pay for anything anymore. He is out and it's their funeral. Here, the role of provider is again seen, which is a feature of patriarchal masculinity. Pepe suddenly and violently rips away the family's financial support that they relied on. He demonstrates his power and control over him, but leaving them without nothing.
Yeah, I think Maria played a very influential role throughout the whole movie about being the caretaker because she was the eldest girl. And I think just throughout the movie, you can see how this scene is very revealing of Pepe's character and how he is threatened by his kids all figuring out that they might be able to leave with Maria maybe finding someone to marry and get out of there. And
Mhm.
then Carlos being able to have a part in a movie. I think he was very threatened and that's why he acted out violently.
It also shows how he was brought up. So his father put him in the business and showed him that's how you have to be a man, and basically pimped him out. And now in return, he's doing that to his kids, stating that to Carlos, this is how you become a man. And to his daughter, he's even trying to sell her off for $50. Like, how disgusting is that? It just shows the cycle of that dysfunction in the families.
Yeah. So this concludes our presentation, and we thank everybody that's listening for your patience.